A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I wasn't going to record more videos today, but with the Star Trek summer read-along going on, I can't remember the name of that. I think it's like Trek Summer. I'll try to remember to put a link to some of the introductory videos down below. But with that coming up, and also with, I think it's called June Home on the Range coming up, I kind of want to show some of the books that I have for that. Now, not all these books will be read during that time period. I am going to split up these two genres into two different videos. So this one is for the Trek Summer particularly. Now, these are actually, most of these are longtime favorites. And I'm going to try to do it somewhat in some sort of order. Let's see. I'm going to try to also divide it into which, like if it's Next Generation, I'm going to try to show those together versus my original series ones. So let's see. Now, for me, a lot of these are book hauls, but they're ones that I had at one point. I'm not quite sure. Well, I know what happened. I know that I was trying to unhaul, and I unhauled things that I shouldn't have unhauled. Okay, so I'm going to start with my Next Generation ones because I have fewer of those. Some of these I actually haven't read yet, so I might have to read those first, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. You know, if I have a lot of other reads going on, I might go to my favorite rereads, or I might examine these new ones, or new to me ones. So this is Star Trek Next Generation number 19, Perchance to Dream. And this came in a bundle. I wanted a specific book from the bundle. I actually think I had two ones I wanted from the bundle. And so I went ahead and picked up the bundle, and this was in there. I can't remember. Oh, I think one of my original series ones was in the bundle too, but I'll show you the Next Generation ones that were included. So there is this one, which I really don't know anything about, other than you seem to have a focus on Data and on Deanna. Now, I don't have any real particular fondness for Deanna. Data is interesting, but neither of these are characters that are my particular favorites. But that doesn't mean this won't be a good novel. Now, this one I did want. This is Diplomatic Implausibility. I have not yet read that. It's Star Trek Next Generation number 61. And over the top it says, a Klingon warrior must negotiate a fragile peace. Oh, and over the top of this one says Captain Picard is kidnapped by a mysterious alien race. Just noticed that it had little blurbs on top. Now, whereas, actually I'm not familiar with either of these authors, but I like Worf. He probably is my favorite for Next Generation. So I anticipate enjoying this. But I've never read it, don't really know much more than what's on here. I do kind of like the cover though. This one's just, normal, okay cover. Okay, then the third one from this bundle was number 9, Star Trek Next Generation, A Call to Darkness. I do recognize the author for this one, Michael Jan Friedman. I know I've read other ones. Oh, I have 2 other ones of his to show, or at least, okay, 1 other of his to show for Next Generation. And the top says, Captain Picard is trapped on a brutal world where war is the only entertainment. Picard's getting kidnapped and trapped and all this other sort of stuff. This is why he's supposed to stay on the ship and you let number 1 go down. But anyway, it has Worf on the front again, and Geordi. I like Geordi. And actually, I rather like, oh gosh, what's her name? It's the doctor who replaced Beverly for a while. This cover is a little bit dodgy. Okay. This binding is a little bit dodgy. I'm going to have to be careful with it. What's her name? Oh, I had it for a second. Oh. Pulaski. I was like, I know it's a Pula something. Yeah, Pulaski. I haven't seen a lot with her in it, but the ones I have seen, I liked. I remember there was the one episode where she took some sort of antidote at the end so that she could drink some sort of Klingon beverage or something with Worf in an attempt to have some cultural, just show some cultural respect, which I rather liked. Even though I know she came in with issues with Data, I do remember that after a while I rather liked her character. I have not read any of the novels with her in it, so I'm kind of actually looking forward to this now. Plus I have Geordi and Worf, so you know. This is another one that I haven't read. This one also came in a bundle, although I can't remember which other ones were in the bundle with it. I think this one came in a bundle. Maybe it's just a really good price. So this one is, this one doesn't have a number on it. Probably, I think only paperbacks have numbers on it. Star Trek Next Generation, the first voyage of the Starship Enterprise 1701E, Ship of the Line. And this is Diane Carey. I have read her novels for Star Trek before. This cover looks really familiar. So I must have read this at one point, but I don't remember it. This one I love. This is one of my favorites. Star Trek Next Generation Reunion. And this is another of Michael Jan Friedman's. And this is where Picard has a reunion, but with some of his fellow crewmates from the Stargazer, which was the crew where Wesley Crusher's father and Beverly Crusher's husband had served with Picard. Is also where, spoiler alert, I can't remember Crusher's first name. Anyway, Wesley's father didn't make it on a mission with the crew of the Stargazer. Why can't I remember his dad's name? Anyway, I'll probably get it. I know that it mentions his name later on in the novel, but I remember really enjoying this. I've always really enjoyed this one, so I don't know what possessed me to get rid of it, other than I was just trying to make space. In that time I was more focused on my yarn space than anything else. My focus has shifted a bit, where I am returning to some of those books that I really should never have gotten rid of to begin with. Now I'm headed into my original series. This one, there's a couple of them which I kind of feel are an acquired taste, but I remember enjoying when I had them in paperback back in the day. I do like the cover for this one, where it has the poking out here and you open it up and like that. So this is Star Trek The Untold Story, Captain Kirk's First Mission, Enterprise, The First Adventure. And this is Vonda and McIntyre, and I don't think I've read other of hers. There are aspects I really like of this novel, and there are things that I think are not quite as good, at least based on my memory of the novel. I will have to reread it and see how I feel about it going forward. But there are things that I did like about it, particularly some of the early on interactions between that trio of Bones, Spock and Kirk as they're trying to get to know, particularly Spock's getting to know both Bones and Kirk, who are unfamiliar to him at that point. So I look forward to re-engaging with that. Which of these I will bookfell? Which of these I will specifically read during Trek Summer, I'm not sure, just because I will have other books I'm reading for other things like Historathon, Big Book Summer, and June Home on the Range. But I do want to get at least a few of them in. Then this one, let's see, actually, before I hit this one, let me get some of the ones that I have, one of the other ones I haven't read. This one came in a bundle. I think this might have come in that Next Generation bundle, maybe, because I don't think I would have picked this up by itself, because I've never read it, and I've never had a particular attachment to this character. So it's Star Trek Original Series number 76, The Captain's Daughter, and the little description on the front says, Sulu must battle an old enemy with his daughter's life at stake. And it's a Peter David. And I have read Peter David's Star Trek novels before as well. And I seem to remember liking them. It's been a while. Oh, it has an old book smell. But never read this novel. Actually didn't know it existed. We'll see what I feel about it, just because I've never had a particular attachment to Sulu's character. But if this is written well, I will enjoy regardless. Now, the Spock-centric, which Spock is my favorite for the original series. Star Trek Original Series number 38, The IDIC Epidemic, and this is a Jean Laura novel. I believe this is also, I do not have it here. Hang on, let me put this on pause. Okay, I'm back. I thought I had another one of my favorite novels was a Jean Laura that I already have read recently, but it wasn't. I'll show the ones I've already had after I finish going forward. But this is one that I remember aspects of, but I remember enjoying it. And I do like Bones as well. So I am looking forward to this. Of course, a lot of times with the original series, I feel like it tends to be fairly focused on that trio there of Spock, Kirk, and Bones. But the more Spock focused it is, the more I tend to like it. Then I have another Jean Laura that I like. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. His last name is pronounced spelled L-O-R-R-A-H. And this is number 20, Star Trek Original Series, The Vulcan Academy Murders. And the little description on top says, Captain Kirk becomes an interplanetary homicide detective. Well, if you followed my channel, you know I do tend to like murder mysteries, but this is also, the main thing that I like is the Spock-centric nature of it. We are on Vulcan. I also enjoy when Sarek and Amanda are present. I do rather like Amanda. One of my biggest beefs, well, I have a lot of beefs with the new Star Trek movies that came out with the recasting of everybody. But one of the things that really annoyed me and kind of actually upset me was you barely got to meet Amanda before she was gone. And that just really, I've always kind of liked Amanda. And this novel is one of the big reasons why. And I think actually the other two that are coming up might also have contributed to that. And these are the last of the new ones, but these two are longtime favorites. I want to put them in order. Let's see. Is this the first one? Let me just take a quick peek to see which one's the first. Okay, no, it's this one first. Oh, someone Did he tear a page out of this? That's not cool. Okay, yes. I think this is the first one of the duology. So this is Star Trek Vulcan's Heart by Josepha Sherman and Susan Schwartz. And it's by the critically acclaimed authors of Vulcan Forge, which I believe is the second book that was written, although I'm not sure now. I had read this one first. And it gives a little bit of a background on Spock. You're on Vulcan, I believe, almost 100% of this book. And it builds up nicely for this one, which I absolutely really enjoyed. This is Star Trek Vulcan's Forge. And there's apparently another one I'm missing that kind of runs in line of this, which is called Sarek, which is, of course, about Spock's father. But I don't have that one. But and I have not read that one. But it's another Josepha Sherman and Susan Schwartz one. And this deals with a character that you meet in this book, but now he and Spock are many years later having their paths meet and what comes of that. And I don't want to really go into that too much. There's some stuff with Bones that's really fun in here. Some stuff with the Romulans I really enjoy. It's been a very long time since I've read either of these, but I remember enjoying both of them very much. But this one probably a bit more than the first one. So I'm pretty sure I'll revisit these at least for Trek Summer. But, oh, yes, the two, whoopsie, I already had. And I think I've talked about these before. I know I read this one last year. Or maybe early this year. Anyway, this is Star Trek Original Series number 23, and it's by Barbara Hambly. It's called Ishmael. This is probably one of my favorites. Actually, it might even be my favorite Star Trek novel. And it says the Enterprise has only a few baffling clues to find Spock somewhere in the past. And actually, this is fun because it is a crossover between kind of a Western kind of feel. Although this is not, I mean, I guess where are you? I want to say you're in the West. I want to say it's in the West, but it's kind of that era. And as you can see by some of the dress there. And I just really have always enjoyed this one. It was actually last year that I read it, because I remember doing the book journal entry for it, and I'm behind about a year. Now, this one is another favorite of mine. Surprisingly, it is Riker focused, which I always have mixed feelings about Will, but I tend to like stories where he's leading for whatever reason, which means I probably like him better than I realize. But this is Star Trek Next Generation, number 60, Tooth and Claw. If I had to say I had a second favorite Star Trek novel overall, this would probably be it. And the little descriptor on top says, as night falls on Fandre, Hunter becomes prey. And that, while it accurately describes it, there's so much more going on here. There's a diplomacy in the background. There's actually diplomacy throughout, but different levels of diplomacy with a culture that's very different from the human culture. You have Worf coming in a little bit later, and I love things that bring in Worf. This is just great. Who wrote this? Dorana Durgan. I think I said that like 5 seconds ago. My memory is terrible. So yeah, I need to reread this one. It's been a while. So maybe at the very least, I will reread these three for this year's Trek Summer. I don't want to say definitely any of the other ones, just because I am not sure what I'll have time for with the other read-alongs. This will go in the same bookshelf I keep my Star Wars novels in, which just seems kind of an appropriate place to put them, where I can easily access and then also look at all my sci-fi options. Do we have a Star Wars read-along time period? Does anybody know? Like, how is that not a thing if it isn't? And if it isn't a thing, does anyone want to co-host a Star Wars read-along? Please let me know but Star Wars, I guess it would all be extended universe, yeah. But anyone want to, if there isn't a Star Wars read-along already, anybody interested in co-hosting one? So yeah, those are just my, that's my book haul, plus other Star Trek ones that I already own, my plans for Trek Summer, and then a little bit of a pitch for a Star Wars read-along if there is not one already. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you again for the next video. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.